All right, here we go. Crazy week.
Amazing week.
I don't even know where to start.
Well,
Uh,
I guess
I mean,
crazy is the better word because I was gone for a couple
yeah, not a
days.
couple days. You were gone for like 48 days.
48 days. That's
Yeah,
what it felt like.
I mean,
It's true.
40, 48. No, it wasn't 48
No,
hours.
four. It was like
Yeah,
4 days.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
What's up, Kenneth?
What's up?
Craig,
Hey.
hello.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, we missed a lot. We didn't get to recap on a lot. We didn't get to recap on uh the CF Media podcast. We didn't get to uh do the Board of Education recap. We didn't get to
Mm-hmm.
do which I learned a lot from, by the way.
Yeah.
And this week we've had a lot. We've
Mm-hmm.
had and which I didn't even realize was going to happen.
What's up, Jeffrey?
Jeffrey,
Number one. What's up?
always.
Yep.
But I do want to start with tomorrow's podcast
Oh,
because
geez.
those boys, I've we've been trying to do this forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been literally like, hey, whenever you want to do it, just let me know. We'll do it. Let's go. And so Jan's like, okay, yeah, let's go. Let's roll. Uh yeah, the locker room
Yep.
talk, boys, for sure. For sure, for sure. So he finally was like, yeah, everybody's on board. So I created a group chat and yeah, like we're gonna go. But then they messed themselves up today.
Oh,
They
Birch,
messed
hold on. Yeah. Hold on, Jeffrey. You're going to hear the.
yeah, they messed themselves up today a little bit. And I don't think they meant to, but they put a little bit more pressure on themselves than they thought, which I think is hysterical. And I can't wait to mess with them tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jan, Poolboy, and Jake, right? And so I was like, hey, guys, I will talk about whatever you want, whatever links you want, put them in the DMs, and I will pull them up if you want them pulled up. Pause. And so Jan decides to go on Savon's podcast and put in the chat, hey, like, you want to come on and talk about hogs? And so now Sevon knows that we're doing this podcast tomorrow. And he's like, yo, I'll troll the shit out of you motherfuckers. And I'm like, oh, Big Daddy is watching tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And
the entire energy from what you said changed. So like
it's a
he's
different
sending you
yeah,
stuff
man.
and
Because I'm gonna text
and
them. I'm gonna text them later and be like, yo, we're all going on tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. Like, if you want to troll, I'll send you a link, whatever. I'm gonna text it tomorrow. And if he
mm-hmm.
wants to jump on, he can jump on too. You asked for it.
Yep.
Like,
like, are you actually really ready?
It's not as easy as you think it is when Big Daddy's watching. Takes a minute. Like, I mean, Pool Boy's already, Mike should be fine. But,
yeah.
And I haven't met Jake yet, but I do. He's been in our chat before. I've seen him in Savon's chat, and I love him to death too. So I'm super excited. I can't wait. I know you're not gonna join the hog fun.
I will not. I will, for the first time, I will hang out in the chat as well and allow you to hang out with the boys and do the things. And I will support you in the chat as a wife.
It's going to be an amazing fun time. I cannot wait. Like, when he starts chatting, or if he does start chatting or jumps on or calls the phone line or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, you want to, yeah.
You want so, yep.
It's like Big Brother.
But
he's watching.
Yeah, and the best part, because you showed it to me, because you were laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing at?
Hysterical.
And they're all as full of shit as a Christmas turkey.
Pull it up. They're all Jeffrey Birchfield. They're all as full of shit as a Christmas turkey. You don't know until it happens to you, when he pops up and just shows up and you say his name 3 times, or
it's like Beetlejuice.
Yeah, you say trans 3 times or whatever. Like, Sevon pops up.
Well, when you were laughing, and you showed me the part of the podcast where he pulled up Jan's comment, Savon's face, I think said it all. It was like,
So did Caleb's.
That is who is gonna all be on at the same.
And I gave him free reign. They were like, hey, can we talk about this? Can we talk about that? Can we talk about this? And I was like, sure. I'm super happy to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. I don't care. Let's go. And so
have a great show. I am here to support you as a wife, and I will hang out in the chat. And
no, I'm pumped. I really am pumped. And it'll be fun for me. There's some questions I've always wanted to ask some dudes and see like honest answers about it, and I know that they will. So
I mean, in the chat, they don't seem shy. I'm interested to see if you put a camera in their face, if they get a little bit shy. So,
or if Kenneth the Lab is going to be epic. Yeah,
it is,
I also believe it's going to be super epic because if Sevon pops up, if he whatever, regardless, if he pops up in the chat or he pops up, you know, on screen, if I send him a link or whatever, it's going to be super fun. So
yep,
I'm excited for it. I think it's a great, like I titled it, Chat Appreciation Day. I think it'll be a good time. I want to have fun. I think they'll have fun. And I also like, you invited Dad to the talk. So
get ready.
Here we go.
Get ready.
But yeah. And then we had a lot this week.
We did.
We had a lot. We had Lauren Khalil. We had Chase Ingram. Yep. You want to start with Jason CrossFit Media?
Sure.
I totally am so jealous about how he introduces people that I really tried to do it with Chase. And
that was really good.
I tried so hard.
I give you credit because
and then I fell apart. It's okay.
But it was good though, because it was fun because he started laughing or said something and then you lost your train of thought, but then you were able to finish it and whatever. So no, you did good.
It was funny. And that introduction that Jason always does will forever be Jason's.
Yeah.
And I just thought it would be fun to try to recreate it and do it too. And I failed. So he gets all the respect in the world for I couldn't keep a straight face.
Yeah. Yep.
Jeffrey Birchfield, are you wearing my shirt, Garrett? Oh, do you have this one too? I don't know. When Vindicate put out the shirts, I went and bought as many as I could. Chase intro was good. Standing ovation. Kenneth the Lap. Thank you, bro. I tried so hard, but I lost it a little bit.
It was good though. It was good.
So yeah, it was very fun to have Jason on. I do like him a lot. I would love to see if he would want to ever do some other podcasts together during semis or whatever. He's super knowledgeable. I mean, he talks about things that I don't really understand, same way John Young does sometimes, or, you know, but he was so fun. I absolutely enjoyed having him on. And
it's cool to hear them talk about things differently and answer different questions and different topics. And I think that's the coolest part about us being able to invite them on. We still get to see part of their knowledge on their craft, but we get to ask the questions that we want to ask.
Yeah.
And I will say that they all seem like they want to talk. They're ready to talk. There's no trying to like get them to talk.
And they're good at it.
Yeah. It's more getting our questions and what we want where we want the conversation to go. But ultimately they take the conversation and they're not scared to talk, which I think is really, really cool.
And then we had Lauren on. Lauren, it was so cool to find out that she's from where we're from. And it was so cool to see her in a different light and to just talk about other things. And I will say this, if you're under 40 and you don't know who Milli Vanilli is, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like you probably shouldn't know who Milli Vanilli is. No big deal.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
If you don't, you
but
don't. It's cool.
like
Yeah.
it's I will know most of the words to Milli Vanilli songs,
Mhm.
but most people under 40 will just know them as the group that lip synced everything.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, she was great. Loved having her on. She's a really cool chick.
It was
And
really cool having her on, and the more we talked and the more questions we asked and, I mean, I just found out that little bit of, um, from just DMing her and stuff like that, and it was really, really cool to, just continue the conversation and realize how close we were, but we never actually crossed paths.
yeah,
That we have
that you know
that we
about.
know of right now, yeah.
All right, let's go. Chase said he loved it.
Mhm,
Awesome. Yeah, he told us that too. It was he was so cool. He was so gracious, and it was all of them, like literally all of them. So I
mhm,
hope they had a good time.
yeah,
Kenneth, I was hoping the convo with Chase would get to family stuff, and I was not disappointed. Yeah,
awesome,
we
yeah,
did. Us too.
yeah,
We want to talk about that too. That was sort of a plan, and then he kind of just led us to water. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
mhm.
Um, do you know the Malachi Crunch? Is that the thing that the boys want to talk about tomorrow? They sent me a link for that. I haven't checked it yet. I have a good amount of time tomorrow to do research on the things that they want to talk about. But no, I don't know the story just yet.
Oh, geez, I have no idea what that is, so I
Uh,
guess we'll find out tomorrow. But no, Lauren was really, really cool. And again, it was very cool to have the conversations and um know that we ran in the same circle and we had different experiences, but being up there and growing up there is a different kind of thing. You know what I mean? And she was so cool to just want to talk about it. We were able to ask her some pretty in-depth questions just from a woman's perspective, from a woman in media's perspective, and then um
she started her own channel too, which I'm really happy about. I
mhm,
noticed today for the first time. I think she put her first video up on YouTube. It's
mhm,
just her. It's her chronicling her her shooting and her tactical games and whatever, and it seemed really cool.
mhm.
I went and took a look at it. It was awesome. It was not the Talking Elite Fitness. It was her own. It was really cool.
Yeah, because she's doing it all herself.
And I think she should, and I think that's fire. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Getting to share what she's doing in her own way, I think is also another very empowering thing that she can do. She shares so much of it on Instagram and then she also sees the power of YouTube from being on people's podcasts, from being on Death by and Talking Elite Fitness and being in the space and seeing how much that the audience will grow. And
Yeah,
then only from there, her opportunities are going to grow and her availability will grow and the experiences and stuff will grow. So she's got to get herself on as many platforms as possible. And YouTube is one of the easiest ones to get on. Um, and because that's how she promotes herself. She literally gets to show herself in multiple ways through media on how she could be able to, um to do that, you know?
there's crap. I didn't. There's so many things I want to talk about her being on Talking Elite Fitness, but I won't because I won't.
Mhm.
But I'm very happy for her that she is starting her own YouTube channel with her own stuff and her own voice and and whatnot. It was, and I don't even know anything from her. She was just gracious enough to come on the show or
Mhm.
whatever. But some of the, the videos I've watched and stuff that I've watched, I'm glad she's doing her own thing.
Yeah.
I really am. I think it's awesome. I think it's fun. Her video, the way that she also videos and chronicles things is awesome. So I'm happy for her. She's self-made.
Yeah.
Um and so that's really
Well, and
cool.
that's why I asked her, she was talking about how when she got into the news and she did this and then the expectations and the strict guidelines and requirements for the way that you look and how you present yourself and how you walk around and all this type of stuff. Yeah, and kind of like what Jeffrey's saying, it's a real shame that she gets crap over some of the things she does in reps. Absolutely. And that's why for me it was so important to hear all that stuff that she was saying and then ask her straight out, how do you keep going? How do you keep going? There's so
Yeah.
many people that you get the door slammed in your face enough times, you just stop opening it. You stop reaching for the handle to try to open it or knock on it. You just don't want to do it anymore. And so to hear the fact that she has built that confidence with time and knows her value and continues to grow her depth of knowledge and reaches out and puts herself in those situations where it's only going to make her better. It's only going to make her stronger. And she is in control of what she's doing. That's why going and doing the tactical games by herself and
She was
promoting
super
that.
strong. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
she's had to be to
mentally,
get where she is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she super strong. And I don't think she knew how much older than her that I am.
Mhm.
I think, for me to see, I'm 43, she's 32. For me to see her have that kind of mental strength at that young of an age,
Mhm.
having grown up, in
The
social
way
media. Yeah.
and and just in media in general.
It was super cool to see.
Mhm.
And she is, she's someone that she's gonna find her niche and the way that she wants to go, and it's gonna be really cool and really powerful.
She's badass.
Yeah, so I'm
Mhm.
excited to see that. She's so willing to talk about everything and anything, and yeah, I hope we get the chance to do that with her someday. So kind of the lap. What you got, bro? You could tell she took the time with her looks and presentation before she came on. Screen background, her hair hiding her headphones, etc. Very professional and put together. Yeah, for sure. I mean, she cares about what she does,
Mhm.
and uh, she spent some time with us off screen afterwards, and she is super smart, super professional. She knows
Yep.
what she wants. She's a
Yeah,
go getter.
and to say that she had so much fun with us was a huge compliment. She's been
Yeah,
in the space for a very, very long time, and that is probably one of the greatest compliments that we can get
sure.
because
Yeah,
we don't want this space to be like everybody else's. We don't want it to be a strict interview kind of conversation where I have a list of questions and I'm going to ask this question, you're going to answer this question, and I give you no time to go in depth or allow the conversation to go where it needs to go to ask follow-up questions. And then you have questions, I have questions, they have follow-up questions, and just allow the organic, natural conversation to have. We don't want it to be so strict and
we're learning,
you know what I mean? But I don't think that
but it
we
was good.
have
Yeah,
though. I
no,
don't really think that we have. I think, giving ourselves a little bit of credit is that, yeah, there's some things like I'll think of something when someone comes on
that you
or
really want to
that I
know.
really want to ask. But if the conversation gets all the way over here and I don't get the opportunity to ask them that time, every single person that we have talked to and had the time or that they gave us the time to come on here has said they would be happy to do it again. And that's really what it is. The first time that we meet,
Yeah, that was
we,
cool.
we meet them, it's about building trust and comfortability and all of these things to make it so that we can ask them to come on again. And I already have time. Lauren's coming on again, so she's going to be traveling, but
She's so
she's
cool. Yeah, and I do. And if Jeffrey, if you're still in here, we do want to dive into tactical games and whatnot.
I had his
Um,
back. I saw his
yeah,
comments. I was
thank
like, I will
God,
ask him. I will
because
ask her. Don't worry. I got
um,
it. But she's a she's a badass, and
super cool,
she does what she does, and it's
so nice,
yeah.
so gracious.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Super
doesn't
cool.
doesn't deserve some of the things that she gets, but hey, it's part of the game. It's part of the gamut.
Yep, and
You
she knows. She
yeah,
knows that
she's aware.
she's in a public place and everybody and anybody has a comment about everything and anything, especially the way a woman looks and or the way a woman presents herself and shares and how she moves and whatever. And she is a beautiful woman in in a space where there's a lot of male opinions and a lot of female opinions, and she
She puts herself out
She
there and she
is
doesn't. Yeah,
yeah.
she's good.
Yep, and
It
she's
was
still
cool.
gonna continue to do it because she's very, very passionate about what she does.
And what she stands for too.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, you kind of knew by the end, and also when we talked to her off screen, you knew what she stood for, and
Yep.
and yeah, she's not going to back down either. So
No.
it was
Very
very
cool
fun.
to talk to her, and, don't worry, she'll be on again.
And then of course Chase. Yeah, that was crazy. And
I will admit that was
that was your fangirl.
yeah, and that's honestly I mean,
Someone asked us in the chat if as two lesbians, if we knew Chase was hot.
if we understood how
How hot
Chase
Chase is.
yes,
Yes,
we do.
very much so. We understand it.
We understand. That was the first one that I was, like, very, very nervous for, and felt like it was gonna take some time for me to be able to ask questions. I know towards the end of the conversation, I got obviously more comfortable, more confident to be able to ask the questions because you allowed me to kind of take the second part of it to be able to ask
I was waiting
him
for you to be like, okay, I'm good.
specific questions. But no, I was very nervous. I was very fangirl. Like, I have been a fan of Chase's since we found CrossFit. And so
You're also a fan of Grundler too. You just love Get With The Programming.
yeah, well, because that's who we've listened to. You know, I know that he said
Kenneth, as a straight man, I get how hot Chase is too.
for real,
Yeah,
for real, right?
Yeah.
You know, I know that, yeah, obviously Sean, you know, because Chase even said it, like, he's the voice of CrossFit. He's the main voice of CrossFit. But I also remember hearing Chase so much.
Yeah.
In everything that we watched and everything, you know.
I think it's the voiceover. He explained the voiceover situation where he was like, I'm not good at voiceovers, or he was not comfortable doing voiceovers. And Sean Woodland was.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
with time though, he practiced and he's gotten comfortable. So now he can step in where they need him and where he wants to, essentially. So yeah, that was a very big fangirl moment for me. And I was very nervous to meet him and absolutely fangirls. I told you I would feel the same way. And Jeffrey #1 can back me up on this. I'm a huge Josh Bridges fan. So if I ever met Josh Bridges, I probably would feel the same way.
Fall over. Sure.
Not fall over, but be like, hi, I'm like,
yeah.
Hi, I'm Colleen. Nice to meet you, kind of thing.
The only thing I was messed up about for Chase is that, oh God, for some reason, one of the computers, like the volume was on one of the computers, and there was a bit of an echo here and there when we would lean close to the computer. And I was like, I could hear it in my headphones.
Yeah.
But nobody else could hear it and nobody else said anything. So I figured it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back and I asked Judy Reed, and it wasn't horrible. It's still really a really good like video.
Yeah.
But I'm like, damn, I haven't had an audio situation happen for 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chase Ingram comes on the show and we have an
of
audio.
Course. Why not? Why not? It's one of those things of how bad do you still want it? Like, do you still want it? And it's another reminder that we're all human, and technology, as fantastic as it is, can mess up.
So Sevan is not crazy when he hears echoes. No,
he's not.
It does. Like one person can hear it in the headphones and somebody else might not. It was Chase, so I didn't want to stop it and be like, hey, which one of the 4 of us can hear echoes?
Mm-hmm.
Like I got scared and I didn't do it. So,
well, and with you guys too, we trust you guys. Like, you guys have always told us, like, hey, can't hear you. Hey,
it just wasn't enough.
It wasn't. I don't think it was
or
enough.
Happened often.
Yeah. Yep.
Hold on, I get this. Jeffrey Birchfield. You know, one of the things I found interesting is y'all's discussion of falling out of CrossFit because of culture. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it definitely happened for us.
Yeah.
And again, I believe it was a thing that we just, our first CrossFit gym, we were raised in a gym that movement mattered.
Support was there. Reps
mattered. You didn't, you know what I mean? Like, again, like she said in the podcast, you cooled up, warmed down. And it was important. Your mobility was important. If you couldn't just walk in there as someone who was big and be like, oh, no, I've done this before. I'm just gonna put 200 pounds on this back squat bar and do it.
Mhm.
Like, you had to work up and prove that you could do that and move in a good way.
Yeah.
And
And it was I I think that by the end of the conversation, just hearing Chase again, and it's not that I don't hear him. I do watch Get With the Programming sometimes when it doesn't get so numbery and into all the, statistics and
statistics,
stuff like that. Like, not saying don't do what you do, and it takes craft to do that, but, like,
I like it.
not all the time. I can hang for a little bit. Jeopardy is pretty awesome. I definitely, that's my new show that I will always tune in
Yeah,
for and watch
Jeopardy's
because
fire.
it's hilarious. Um, but hearing him talk about his passion for CrossFit, like, up close as if I was sitting at a table with him, like, across from me or whatever, really started to bring up how and, like, remind me how much I loved it, how much we loved it when we first got into it, and how much it opened up the doors for so many things for us, and hearing that and stepping into Jet's gym and meeting Hiller and kind of being brought back into the circle of CrossFit, one of those things was like, if I could ask Chase Ingram anything, what would it be? And that was how would you try to get someone to take a step through the door again that's been there before, but left with a bad taste in their mouth. You
And
know what
it
I
was
mean?
cool that he said, "Hey, you can create that fire for yourself again."
Mhm.
You don't need someone else to create that fire for you. You
Yeah.
can create that fire for yourself, and I think that's the message I left with clear as day. You know,
Yeah.
we can do it ourselves.
Right.
It's We can create our own environment. That's the fire. That's the old school. That's the military way. That's the,
Mhm.
you don't have to bow down to this new version of whatever the culture is now.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and we have all the stuff and we have all the knowledge where we can.
when it gets all helping I love helping. I'm not even gonna lie. I do. I mean, she might not like it, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. He's cool though.
Listen, it's cool, but it's not for everybody,
Eh,
you know? Um, but yeah, it was very, very cool to meet Chase and to talk with him and yeah,
yeah.
it was really cool.
Yeah, there were a lot of things. I mean, even the fact that when you asked about, parenting and whatever,
Mhm.
and he was just like, I don't believe that two women can't raise a boy.
Yeah. And he took the time to respond back to us too and felt the need to, because he thought about what what I asked him,
Yeah.
like, what would you tell two women that are raising a son? And he said, I thought of a better answer for your last question about raising a boy as women. Don't raise them as two moms, not saying as two women, just as a motherly role. Kids, especially boys, need both nurture and nature. Nature, more referring to the tough love reality of life and making them understand that reality when appropriate. Mothers tend to be the softer side of that coin. Does that make sense? But that doesn't make it gender role specific. Plenty of men can be that nurturer and women the nature. But in my opinion, the balance of both are essential. And so we both just thanked him immensely for that. But even just taking the time to, after the podcast, thinking about a better answer and then texting or DMing us together and answering it for us, I think just again goes to show what kind of man and person that he is, that he does care.
And yeah, for sure.
Mhm,
And then I took a lot from that just because I am that other role.
mhm.
Like, I am. When I stand there and look at my kid and I'm like, "Garrett," and he hears my tone of voice, he just stops immediately.
Mhm.
And it's just like, "Okay, what do I," you know what I mean? Like, I am that other role. It's not that I don't hug him, don't love him, don't do things with him,
Yeah.
show him things, whatever, but I am kind of, you know, that more kind of masculine role for him. So yeah, I get it. I'm what he said about roles. I am back and forth when it comes to roles. Um, obviously I'm not a dude, so I don't have, you know, but I threw him all over the house when he was 3, you know, freaking years old, and you were like, "Oh my god, you're throwing my kid 5 feet in the
Mhm.
air." And I'm like, "Yeah, I
Mhm.
am."
Mhm.
And we wrestled and we were outside and getting dirty and whatever, and that's just me. That's just how I interact
Yeah.
with my kid.
Mhm.
It's not something like you were looking at me like, "Oh, is he gonna break?" You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, "You're gonna
Yeah.
break my kid that I just made."
Mhm.
And I'm just like, "No, he's fine. It's a bruise. He'll be fine,
Yeah.
whatever." Like,
I mean, and that's also something that I've learned a lot too, just from reading and asking questions and stuff like that, is that kids, but especially boys, need that intense kind of play, that rough kind of play in a way. And, with Garrett, what we're realizing is that it's also sensory too. There are times that he'll literally jump from one couch and he's learned how to roll and he needs to like he'll roll onto the next couch, or he'll jump off the ottoman, I should say, and roll into the couch, into the back pillows and stuff like that. And that's just something I'm like, what is he doing? But I'm more aware of that now. I'm more aware of like, okay, what does he need? We were on a walk today and he was like, "Mommy, can I tumble?" And I'm like, "Go ahead." And we found grass that was safe and he tumbled like 10 times
yeah,
as we're walking, jumping up and down and doing all these things. And um so I've learned that I also had to release my anxiety around being a mother, because then I got my voice too. Before, when he was younger, I was scared to tell him no. I was insecure as a strong mother. We've talked about this before. Like, I've experienced postpartum. We had a difficult time getting pregnant. I had a difficult pregnancy. And then I had postpartum where I couldn't leave him. I was terrified to leave him because at one point I thought we were never going to have a child.
yeah,
So I had to work through my own shit so that I would get comfortable and find my voice and get more confident. And that took a lot of work that I needed to do. But now you and I are very much on the same page when that comes, to that kind of stuff, where I also can look at him and he knows,
like, "Don't play with me."
like, "Don't play with me." Or now this whole thing of, like, I said no, you know what I mean? And understanding what that means, because again, we take the whole responsibility that we are raising a future man.
Sure.
And that's our responsibility to do that now, even at 7.
Yeah. Yeah. Starting when he was born.
Mhm.
Kenneth Delap takes a temp to raise kids, but especially young boys. I'm gonna say that temp means temperature. Like, you have to take their temperature as kids. I'm gonna say that. And yeah, our son isn't, like, he's not the same as his cousin, his boy cousin.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That kid is like, hey, he rides motorcycles all over the place.
Yep,
He's the
dirt
same
bikes and
age.
yep,
Yeah, dirt
yep,
bikes, and
yep.
he's, you know,
Team. It takes a team. Yeah.
oh, a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Um, our kid, damn, autocorrect. Yeah, I feel you.
But it
um,
doesn't mean that real quick, it doesn't mean that we don't allow him to be a kid, because we've also talked about that very, very openly, and the importance that we feel about keeping him young. He is young and we want him to be young and experience it and all this type of stuff. But when it comes to certain things, boundaries, safety, understanding, important lessons to be had, like, we are both on that page. And it's not this whole, I'm not going to coddle my kid, because I know what that looks like,
yeah.
because I see it. We see it every day in other kids that he goes to school with. We see that in the teenagers that are running around town. We see that in the adults.
And
Like,
we allow him also to be who he is, and that's a young boy that wants to be curious
yeah.
and physical. And
Yep.
like, when Chase had DM me and he was like, "Hey, I didn't get the link to the podcast yet." and it was like the day before, and I don't normally send a link till like 30 minutes before. So
Mhm.
when I woke up and I read that message, I was like, "Hey, yeah, I'll absolutely send you the link after, we hit mitts."
Mhm.
Cause he and I, like, the baby and I were going to boxing.
Mhm.
We were gonna hit mitts.
Mhm.
He is in a tree somewhere. He is, rolling off the back of some, like, that's just what he does. He's just a
Right.
boy. He just
Yep.
does boy things all the time.
Yep.
Like, he'll get into anything if you let him.
Yeah. Playing in
So,
dirt all the time, and
yeah,
that's just what he gets
he's
to
at that
do.
age now. He's kind of figured some things out, and he's like, "Yeah, I wanna run around and do all these things." He
Mhm.
wants to, fix my car or whatever. He has no idea how or
No.
what that entails, but, he's curious now. He
He
wants to
wants
know
to help, and
everything.
he wants to help with everything
Yeah.
too. And that was also something I've seen too. It's like there's just certain things that you don't get that you shouldn't coddle your kids with. Again, we want them to be independent. And that was difficult for me too, as he was getting bigger, he didn't need me as much. And then he very much attached himself to you. And then I very much was like, well, what the hell do I do now? You know what I mean? And then now, as he gets older and he gets independent, we want him to be able to be independent. We still do things together.
And he can't always be. Obviously,
Yeah.
he's on this spectrum. There are
Mhm.
things that we have to keep him
Yeah,
from,
for
like,
sure.
yeah, getting into or whatever. He's got a little bit more freedom now than he's ever had
Yeah.
to kind of whatever, because
Mhm.
it's like, okay.
Right.
But um yeah, he's doing things right now. We're watching him do things that he's never done before.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to watch.
A reminder how fast time goes,
And on
especially
that
with a kid.
note, let's recap the BOE because we did 2 shows on the Board of Education,
Mhm.
and, I think now after that's kind of settled and we've kind of come down off the emotional roller coaster that was, because that was very difficult.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I think the number one thing that I've learned out of that is that I I don't know this lady as a person. Right? So I don't know Fatima Morel as a person. I only know what's on Google. I only know what's on the internet. I only know what her agenda is and what she's put in place and whatnot. And with everything that happened at the Board of Education's meeting, I think that I can say I don't know you as a person, so I can't say that I don't like you as a person, but what I can say is I don't like your agenda.
Mhm.
And so if the only thing I have to go by is the agenda that's put forth, I have to make my decision based on that.
Mhm.
Not saying I don't like you, I don't know you.
Right.
So,
Right.
you might very well be a great mother, wife, uh, auntie, whatever it is, and you probably are. I don't like your agenda, though, so I have to do what's best for my child.
Mhm.
That's all I got. It
Yeah.
has nothing to do, and everybody always wants to put it on race and
And
whatever,
make it personal, and
and it's
and
not.
nobody was trying to make it, or at least us. I mean, again, we
Sure.
can't speak for
Yeah, I
everybody.
don't know what was I
And I don't know
it
what
felt
was
weird.
in those emails, and I'm sure that there was a lot of hurtful
Crappy things
language
in those
in
emails.
those
Sure.
emails. So, and she saw all of them, and the entire board of directors saw all of them and whatever. So people felt the need to say what they needed to say. But for us, and for a good majority of the people that we talked to, it's not personal towards her. Like you said, this is what came out, and as parents, we have every right to voice our concerns. And so getting that backlash from members of the board saying, "Well, where have you been? Where have you been?" We haven't had, or we haven't been aware of red
Anything you
flags
said.
like
Yeah.
this before, or concerns like this before. So for us, and again, we're speaking for us, we have never felt like we had to question anything higher. Now, last year, when all this stuff was coming out on social media, and you're reading it in the news that schools were starting to teach gender ideology behind parents' back, we did go to our son's teacher and ask him flat out,
What's happening?
are you teaching gender ideology to our child? And he said no. Great. Have you heard any other of his other teachers, his therapists, anything like that, pushing a gender ideology agenda? No. Great. If you do, please let us know, because we don't feel comfortable with someone else teaching this to our child. And we had that conversation because we went to the source that we felt like we needed to go to. And then when this came out, it's the same principle. We were going to the source that we felt like we needed to have a conversation with, and we were immediately met with, it's going to be personal because we're telling you that we feel like it's personal, and it wasn't personal.
And the
Yeah.
minute that people can't have conversations with you, the minute that you know that it's just they attack you personally first.
Yes.
In order to make themselves right, they have to discredit you and attack you personally first instead of just starting a conversation and being able to have a conversation.
Mhm.
And that's what happened. And
Instantly.
yeah.
But before any of because they give an opportunity to the community to talk. And that's when, the president of the PTO went up and voiced concerns again,
it was immediate.
not towards, and literally said, this is not personal towards you, and looked at her and everything. But what we're saying is that what we have seen and what we have heard is concerning, and these are our concerns.
Yeah.
But then it immediately went into it's personal, it's personal, it's personal, it's personal. And it's not personal until you make it personal.
And I just refuse to do it. So I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, what I've realized in a very calm, fashion is that I have nothing against her. I don't know her personally. I do not agree with her agenda
Mhm.
or what she has planned for the school system.
Mhm.
So I will do what I need to do for my own kid, and that is homeschool him
Mhm.
next year.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that it has it's just the agenda of the school.
Yeah.
Whether it's her, whether it's the school, whether it's
Yeah.
the whatever the
Mhm.
leftist party wants right now. Like
Yeah.
I don't like your agenda. Doesn't mean you're not a good person.
Yeah.
Just don't want you teaching that to my kid.
And
So,
and again, the more that we read and the more that we hear and the more that we talk, to other parents and other people or whatever, like, it's just not safe for our kids to be in school. That's what I'm feeling. It's just not safe. And also too, we think about it, and there's some days, for a couple months our kid did after school program too. He wanted to go, and we thought it'd be another social place for him to go and ride the school bus, which he's been begging us for because he doesn't, because we live very close to the school. So wanted to be on a bus, and okay, fine. But there are some days that we don't see him all day.
yeah.
We don't see him all day. So what we're saying is that we're trusting other people to be with our kid all day. And for a while it was fine because we trusted the people that he was with. We do trust, his teachers that he's with right now. But moving forward, it feels like that
They made it impossible for that.
yeah. So, we're taking a step back on certain things now. Like,
Yeah,
he's not going to
yeah.
after school program anymore. We're gonna, go back to what we always did before, which is picking him up after school. And, he's going to be doing sports a couple days a week. He's going to be with us a couple days, at home. And that just feels right for us.
Yeah.
It just feels good for us. It doesn't feel good to just trust.
But again, it's the same thing. If you believe something different, I can sit there and say like, "Hey, okay, you believe something different. That's fine. If I
Mhm.
believe something different, I'm a terrible human being."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
seems to be the give and take of what it is, and it's like, no, you can believe whatever you wanna believe. As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long
Right.
as you're not, messing with children or doing whatever, believe whatever you want. I could care less. It's in your house. Like, whatever you wanna do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
Right.
But when you start yelling at me and trying to demand that I believe what you believe, then we have a problem. And also, those are the same people that can't say, like, hey, I'm wrong. Like, they're ready to die on that hill. They
Mhm.
can't look at something and be like, oh, I might not have seen that a certain type of way.
Mhm.
They're just ready to die on whatever hill that they, that they did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I can honestly say, and I've never taken any post down or whatever, there's a lot of things you can go back and look at for me on social media, and it'll be things that you'll be like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like, no, bro, I was wrong. And also, as a person, I've evolved over time.
And at the time, I don't think it's so much that you're wrong. At the time, it felt right. It felt like the right thing.
Kenneth the Lap, you can believe something different than my family, but if you try to if you try and enforce my child, yeah.
That's the big thing right there.
And that's like for a lot of us who kind of were so take for instance like the AOC and the squad, and I can only speak from New York because that's what I know the best, right? So take them when they first, and I'm happy to, babe, can you try to pull that down? I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
pull it down. But if you take them when they first came out and they were first elected and whatever, I was when they got all the hate, I was the first person to be like, "No, you just don't like them because 'cause they're women. No, you just don't like them because they're women of color. No, you like whatever." But I had no idea what they were preaching. None.
Yep.
0. 0 idea what their politics were, 0 idea what their agenda was, 0 just what I was taught was if you're against them, you hate women and you hate people of color. So I jumped on that bandwagon immediately without looking at anything.
Mhm.
Now I'm like, they're freaking dangerous. They're not helpful. They're promoting an agenda that is just ripping us apart. And I'm okay to say that. I'm okay to say, hey, I was wrong. I didn't know. I didn't
Mhm.
look into it. I just reacted the way that I was taught.
Mhm.
Now I'm paying attention. Now I'm listening. And over time, I've grown as a human being. I've grown up and you know what I mean? Like, and I get it.
It's a reminder that thoughts can change, your beliefs can change, conversations can happen and get you to see something that you've never seen before
Yeah.
or seen it or look at it a different way. And I believe that it's not I really don't believe that the big extreme groups actually want to fix anything.
No, they don't.
I don't think that they want to fix anything. I think that the only way for certain groups to feel like they have succeeded is to create what they feel like happened to them. But if you keep repeating the same thing over and over and over and over again, how does that get better?
Yeah, they're not nobody's willing to have a conversation, and no one's willing to admit that they're wrong.
And
And
no, yeah.
or like, not even that you're wrong, you don't even have to admit that you're wrong, but
Mhm.
maybe I didn't see it this way.
Right.
Oh, maybe I should that might this whole Ukraine thing right now, right?
Yeah.
So now people are starting to say and people are starting to talk a little louder and say that, "Hey, we tried to, you know, get Ukraine into NATO, which would put a whole bunch more bombs and missiles and whatever on and move eastward towards Russia and put them on Russia's doorstep." Russia was like, "Hey, don't do that. If you do that, like we're already amassing troops on the border."
Mhm.
And then you did it and you had Kamala go up on, screen on TV and be like, "Hey, Ukraine, join NATO." And now Russia's pissed and now we're invading Ukraine. But if you say that you're anti-America, you're anti whatever, like
Mhm.
whether you believe in the war or not, or you support it or you don't, no one's willing to talk about what either side is saying.
No, because nobody actually wants to hear.
No one's willing to have a conversation about what either side might be saying. Maybe that's not what happened.
Mhm.
Maybe it is. Maybe what whatever, but no one's willing to talk about it and have those types of conversations without imploding and being like you're anti-America, you're racist, you're a white supremacist, you're all this kind of shit.
Oh, they just want you're just fighting
So
to be right, and when you're in a place of fighting to be right, nobody wins.
so
Nobody wins, but
Didn't mean to get into politics, but that was fun. I always enjoy a good politics.
But it was a
Brandon, thank you
really,
for
really,
joining us.
yeah.
Kenneth DeLapp, yes, big booty AOC for sure. Yeah, she enjoys her dresses and her fashion and her multi-million-dollar whatever.
But listen, it was other than that,
It
other than
was really fun.
politics and whatever. Um,
Yeah, Jeffrey Birchfield. My nephew is about to ship off to Poland. Little
Yep.
close for comfort for
Yep.
sure. Yep. So, yep.
yeah.
Kenneth DeLab, pick your side and defend it to the death culture. I'm not a fan. Yeah, I mean, if you're not willing to learn and grow and just be like, oh, why might that person see it differently than me? Like, I don't. Yeah,
But it starts with us. And I mean us
yeah, sure.
being
Because I was die on that hill. I
yeah.
sure was a die on that hill person.
But I mean us being able to sit in a room and have different thoughts and opinions and be able to talk them out. And okay, fine, maybe I don't agree with you when we first sit down, but I'm also willing to listen to what you have to say. But the difference is that if you're not willing to give me that same respect, then there's no reason for us to actually sit down and try to have a
And also,
conversation.
too, even if I sit down and I don't agree with you, it doesn't mean I have to hate you.
And it doesn't mean you have to hate me either.
I just don't agree
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
We can still vote our shit and have our, whatever, and still, but at the minute that I don't agree with you, again, I'm a
Then yeah.
I'm a white supremacist and I'm everything phobic.
Then
So,
you start
like,
yelling
it's
at me, then you start
and I
calling me out
can't,
my name, then you start
and then
telling
I'm
me
done.
all this stuff. And like
So
that's the thing, when you start yelling at me, it's one of those things where I wouldn't allow you to talk to me that way, and I would never speak to you that way. You think I'm gonna let somebody
yeah,
that I don't know
right.
talk to me and speak to me that way?
No,
Like, not happening.
I'm
It's
just
just
gonna
not.
shut off and leave.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yeah.
So, but all right, guys, thanks for the recap, and we'll get back to you tomorrow with the boys. It's gonna be
Have a great show.
hog talk all day. It will be. I don't know what I have to even go into my Instagram to see what these boys sent me to see what is about to actually happen tomorrow. But yeah, so just like Sevon said, he allowed a woman to take over his show, or he's allowing women to take over his show. Apparently, I'm allowing men to take over my show
I
tomorrow.
guess so.
So,
I guess so.
equal opportunity lenders over
I
here.
mean,
like,
we were just talking to Lauren about the fact that we
get to
haven't
talk
had
to women too
yeah.
much, but yeah.
And then here you go, you and a bunch of guys
Look,
hanging out tomorrow.
I'm equal. I'm good. I am also, and but and this is funny, and I will bring this up to them tomorrow. But tomorrow, the DEI hires are the white boys. Like me right now, me and Pool Boy are good. The DEI hires are the white boys tomorrow, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But
there you go.
yeah,
There you
super
go.
excited.
But I will be hanging out with all of you guys in the chat. So
fun. Thank you guys. Thank you,
Yep.
Jeffrey Birchfield. Thank you, Kenneth the Lab, Brandon, everybody. Thank you guys.
Brandon,
appreciate
thanks for
you.
hanging out with us on your first live.
Super cool.
Happy you're here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
All right, guys, have a great night.
All right.
And I will not see you tomorrow face to face, but I will see you. You won't see my face tomorrow, but I will be in the chat. So, all right, guys.
Peace.
Bye.